Here's the problem with the executive board, and I see this mostly in DMO boards that meet quarterly, which we'll get to in a minute, is the executive board does all the heavy lifting and decides the direction and what we're going to propose to the full board. Well, for the most part, what the executive committee proposes to the full board is a fait accompli. The full board knows these guys have vetted it already, and either they don't want to go up against the officer corps, or they don't know enough about the issue to go up against the officer corps. And so for the most part, the board goes, yeah, whatever. And stuff goes sailing through. That's fine and it's effective, but in time, the board's going to wonder, why are we coming to the meetings? We don't do anything. All we do is rubber stamp what these guys are doing. They don't need me. And then you're going to lose one person. Pretty soon you'll lose two people. And pretty soon you won't be hitting quorum. I talked to a bureau director a few months ago who says, I haven't had quorum in over a year. Yeah. Executive board becomes too powerful and takes on too much responsibility. As much as their heart may be in the right place, it ultimately is going to cause your board members, your regular board members, your non-officer board members, to just say, yeah, and quit coming, unless you're serving them really great lunches, and then they just come for the lunch. Now, does that mean you shouldn't have an executive board? No. The officer corps should be your executive committee, but they should only act in extreme situations. And I'll jump ahead here because there is an issue here about frequency. Many of you know how I feel about quarterly board meetings. That's a recipe for disaster. It's dangerous. And the reason for that is the world moves way too fast for us not to be engaged. I mean, if you miss a meeting in a quarterly setting, that means you guys don't meet for 6 months. There's too much is going on. And when you do quarterly, your executive committee does become powerful. It has to become powerful because you can't go that long. If you go 2 months between meetings, many of us do that. How many go 2 months? Every other month, yeah. The executive board tends to meet then in the odd month. But that too tends to allow the executive board to become more powerful in the scheme of things. If you're meeting monthly, which is my preferred, and take a couple months off, maybe take off December and take off July or something, but if you're meeting like 10 times a year is pretty good. You can keep the meetings down pretty short, to 60 to 75 minutes, I would hope, unless you've got big issues that are going on. And then your executive board sits there and waits for that moment where it's 3 days after the board meeting and the mayor comes out and says, I'm not going to do that $17 million in TIF for the hotel project. And the project could collapse before the next board meeting. The executive committee must act at that moment and sit down and say, okay, can we take the mayor on this one? Can we get it? We got to get involved.